Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I've done videos about some of the pistol grip pliers, which basically has the deviation from a traditional plier design occurring at the handle area. But there's a whole nother type of plier that has basically the traditional handles, and then the bend comes up at the top on the business end. And I want to point out a couple of Aries pliers. Oddly, now I know you're going to click away as soon as I say this, but these are under $10 right now on Amazon. Or you can buy an entire set of 3 that has a needle nose, the multiplier, and a kind of a side cutter for under $20 for the set. Now, from what I can tell, these are made in China, but that seems odd in some ways because when I compare them with the NWS style, like this Irwin here, or maybe an actual NWS here, there are a lot of similarities. Some unusual things that I just wouldn't expect to see on a knockoff, but it does seem to be a decent performer, especially for the price. And if you don't have a set of angled pliers, they can come in quite handy. In fact, this I've been playing around with. This is, or not this one, where'd it go? This one here. This is a Sunex angled wire stripper. Just kind of interesting. It changes the way you hang on to things and the way you manipulate things. That one's coming up. But anyway, I wanted to go over this guy. So what do we have here? We've got kind of the traditional jaw. This is very similar, say, to this Orbis / Knipex here, but a lot more affordable. You've got a set of cutting knives here. The cutting knives are actually quite good. Here's some 12 gauge. Easily snips through, no problem. In fact, I can go up to Romex, one-handed here. Pops it right off. I don't know how durable these will be. You can see a little bit of discoloration. It's just taking the black oxide off and leaving maybe some copper, which I guess would be an indication of how hard those are. You also see it has kind of that nut holder that is common on, where's my, there we Irwin here. This will have it. The NWS has it, which would allow you to grab a bolt head or a nut as long as you don't have to extend it very far because obviously you're going to hit the knives. It also has the standard bolt grabbing or hex grabbing there and a set of traditional jaws, single line, not cross-hatched, that close up pretty tight. So they did do the finish work. In fact, you can kind of see that. That was probably the last thing they did is, because it's uneven, is ran it over a grinder to make sure that that fit together. Overall, for the price, I find it hard to beat. It has a multi-component handle. It has 2 different tether points. They don't... they would work, obviously. They're pretty small if you want to run something through there. But I do find that sometimes I do notice those. I'd almost like to cut one of them off, the one that I interact with the most. As far as the other pair, some side cutters, has all of the strength essentially of a traditional, diagonal cutter. Fires it across the room, but may allow a little bit better access. I don't know what these are all about, if that's just a design or if they're thinking maybe you could do some kind of reaming with that, but you don't ream with side cutters, and they've sort of added it here, a little bit of flair. I've had decent performance out of Aries stuff. I've done several Aries videos. This was one, it was an inexpensive way to get into some of these kind of like extra long duckbill style pliers. But you can see, it's starting to rust a little bit. And I'm not in a very humid area. And the spring, I tend to keep something wrapped up. There's another. This one's kind of a combination pistol grip angled front end because you got both ends so close together. So I'm not sure which this fits in. It's kind of got that same pistol grip handle. Or it's got the standard kind of handle almost, but a bend anyway. I'd probably put it more with pistol grip. Great design. I really like this plier, but I wish they were a lot less expensive. But anyway, If you buy the set of 3, it does come with a inexpensive little kind of roll-up tool roll here for what that's worth. But overall, it's kind of surprising to get a fairly decent, at least at a DIY or occasional use level set of these angled pliers. I did notice this one was a little stiffer than I like, but you can kind of feel sometimes on the stiffness of pliers if you're going to be able to wear it in quickly with, some yanking. And it's generally, I think, a misalignment. So it tightens. This is actually fairly loose here. Tightens a little bit at the end, and then it starts to stiffen up about out here. This one, and you can tell them apart actually by the part numbers. They're exactly the same plier. However, this 51014 is an individual plier, and the 51017 is the plier that comes in the set. How do I know that? Because this has the exact same number. And this has the exact same number. So that isn't a model number, that's a set number, which is a little odd. But anyway, I noticed on this one that came individually, it was fairly stiff, but it didn't have that stiffness like I've had with some Kleins and some Snap-ons that it was a uniform stiffness. This just had some hiccups, a little bit of flipping it around, and I was able to loosen it up at least through this. That's where it stops. Then I start getting some resistance for the closure, and I don't like that. And then right here it starts getting a little bit of resistance right before it ends. But overall, I could tell I could loosen them up. It also probably indicates that this is not going to remain free of play. My guess is that's one of the areas where it would start to deviate from a higher quality plier. But anyway, thought I'd bring those to your attention. Honestly, for under $10, I definitely think that's worth it, especially since this is not a, maybe an everyday use tool. A lot of times you just want to go after a straight one. That's what we're used to. That's kind of the way we think. You do adapt to these, but then there are times when something like this is really outstanding. Or if you want to, add a few more bucks. Literally, it's $6 and change for each one of these if you buy the set. I don't know how long that price will last, but it is under 20 bucks at the moment, or under 10 bucks for this one. The others cost more, which is interesting. But anyway, thought I'd bring it to your attention. The Aries, I don't know what good a model number is since that's part of the set, but it's a Aries angled multiplier, or sometimes they call it Aries does a lineman plier. And there it is. And with that, Doc out.